Hey guys, it's Bonanza here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm taking you guys through a very in-depth makeup tutorial that is also kind of chaotic. Many people have requested a tutorial from me, especially for my base makeup, so the base will actually be the primary focus for this video. Also, really short but important disclaimer, this is just how I do my makeup. There are probably a few steps that are not conventionally quote-unquote correct, and in those cases I am open to hearing constructive criticism and suggestions in the comments. Thanks! So as you can see, I'm first putting lip oil over my lips to prepare them for lip products later on. And then I'm putting makeup primer on the skin around my eyebrows to prepare it for when I cover up my brows. To cover, or rather block my brows, I'm first going in with an Elmer's glue stick, gluing against my brows first and then in the direction that they're growing in. Then I'm taking this screwed up spoolie brush and brushing my eyebrows upwards diagonally. And now I'm rubbing the skin under my brows to get rid of any excess glue. Now I'm going in with another layer of glue, but no going against the brows this time. And then I use a portable fan to dry the glue on my brows. A third layer, dry again. A fourth layer to really make sure that they are flattened as hell, dry again. I have extremely dark and thick brows, so I really should have done more layers, but I was too lazy. When you think you've added enough layers of glue, pat with your finger to make sure the glue is all dry before applying powder. So here I'm using e.l.f. Translucent Setting Powder. I also have the Mehron Neutral Setting Powder, but I might as well finish what I have in here first. So I turned the powder upside down, gave it a few pats, opened it, and now I can use my powder puff to pat into the lid. Usually people like to pat the powder on their hands first to even it out, but I just go straight into my brows with it because I just think it works better. And then I take a large fluffy brush and brush over the brows to get rid of excess powder. Now I'm putting primer over the rest of my face, and honestly, I don't really know if this actually helps the paint go on smoother. I feel like it does, and either way it's definitely a part of my routine now. So now I'm putting white concealer over my brows and grabbing a wet sponge to blend it out. Usually people have a spray bottle that they use to wet their sponge until it's damp, but I don't own a spray bottle. So basically around half an hour before I even start my makeup routine, I will run my sponge under water until the entire thing is completely wet, and then I'll squeeze out as much water as I can. So by the time I start my makeup, my sponge is in this weird area that is in between damp and wet. And as you can see, I've begun putting on my Mehron Clown White paint with the same sponge. I also really just prefer my sponge to have a bouncier texture for whatever reason. The paint is going to come out a little tacky at first, but you just have to keep blending it out and bouncing the sponge around and it'll turn smooth. A few people have asked me how I avoid getting paint on my nostril piercing, and my method is really simple. I grab a Q-tip, insert it into my nostril, and push the piercing upwards so I can blend the paint into the area beneath it. And even if I didn't have any piercings, I would still use this method to get into the little crevices next to my nose. So now that my face is all white, I grab my powder puff and my setting powder. And this time I do pat the powder onto the back of my hand first to even it out before hitting my entire face with it. And then I grab my fluffy brush and tap my entire face. Not drag, tap. So it gets rid of any excess powder while distributing it more evenly. So you guys know how I said this video was going to be chaotic? This is where the chaos actually starts, because after all this, I decided that my face wasn't white enough. So I went back in with the paint and I did a second thin layer of it, and then did my powdering steps all over again. But it was worth it. I mean, just look at the difference. So yeah guys, that was my super chaotic but super in-depth base tutorial. For this week, I wanted to do a goth clown look, so I am immediately grabbing my black liquid eyeliner and drawing a triangle under one of my eyes. So obviously I have to map it out first, I'm not that great at makeup. I start out with a smaller triangle, and now you can see that I'm slowly expanding the triangle while determining where exactly I want the point to be, and constantly adjusting that point. And then after I drag out that point to make it super pointy, then I just fill in the triangle. Now I'm doing the same thing above my right eye. It's a little rougher because the height of my eyebrow and my double eyelid make for an uneven surface to draw on. My advice here is just to look straight, and then you see how I'm tilting my head up to view the gaps between the lines? If I had drawn on the triangle while tilting my head up, the triangle would have turned out wonky. So yeah, I'll basically fill in the gaps after I map out my triangle. So after filling the triangle in, I ended up over expanding it, so now I'll show you guys how I fixed it. I grab another sponge, which I keep specifically for correcting mistakes, and I don't wet it or dampen it because I need it to be completely solid and thus precise. I tap it into the paint and then I just dab over the area that needs to be corrected. And now I'm redrawing it with the eyeliner. Now on the leftover spaces above and below my eyes, I'm going to do the exact same thing but with red water activated paint. So again, usually people use a spray bottle to wet the paint to activate it, but I'm taking a dollar store paintbrush and running it under water for a few seconds before swirling it into my paint. This time around, because I've already drawn on the black triangles and determined the center points, I drew the height of the red triangle first before mapping out the legs. And as you can see here, I accidentally made the point a little too big, so I'll show you how I fix this. I grab a Q-tip, swirl it into my white paint, and scrape off the excess, and then I gently wipe over the problem area. If you look closely, this does expose a bit of my skin underneath, so I take my backup sponge and pat over it. And guys, as you can see, this distributes a bit of the red paint, but it's okay because I'm a recovering perfectionist and it's literally just clown makeup. As I say, if it gets the point across, then that's all that matters. However, I'm still open to suggestions if anyone has them. Moving on to the other eye, you know the drill, and thankfully I didn't run into any big problems. Now we're moving on to the nose. So for this one, I'm going into the red paint with, I think it's just a dense eyeshadow brush. I didn't film myself running the brush underwater, but you get the gist by now. And I'm trying to create a somewhat circular shape here, and yeah, I'm satisfied with it. Now I'm taking a black eyeliner pencil to create a swirl on it. And oh my gosh, how I've missed the swirly nose, you guys. This really satisfied an itch. But anyway, now I'm going over it again to intensify the hue. And now for the eyebrows. For pretty much all of my clown looks, I use the same dark brown eyebrow pomade. I take a brow brush and dip into it, scraping off excess. I actually do the same brows for almost all my looks as well. I'll put some examples on screen. But for this look, I decided I wanted to look less distressed and confused and more attentive and conscious. I used to think that drawing brows would be really hard, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I mess up really bad? But literally the first time I did them, it was in one fell swoop. I went in with like a just do it kind of attitude, and yeah, I do want my brows to remain thin, but most importantly, they should be even. So I just go back and forth between them until they are. Once I got the shape on, I went over it with black liquid eyeliner to, make them black. Now we're moving on to my least favorite but necessary part, which is making my eyes look more even through the power of a lash curler and mascara. Let me explain. I have straight Asian eyelashes that actually grow downwards due to my loose eyelid skin. Also, I don't know if anyone has noticed by now, but I have uneven eyelids, which means one of my eyes has a double eyelid while the other has a monolid. Curling my lashes and putting on mascara actually turns the monolid into a double eyelid due to the lifting power. To make sure the lashes actually stay curled and lifted, I will curl my lashes and put on mascara, but I'll repeat those steps a second time because one time is really not enough. After that, I'll put on these wispy cat eye false lashes that I actually use for normal makeup looks too. And you guys, the look is really coming together, but obviously the lips are not done, so now I'm using a Q-tip to clean off the white paint from my upper lip. But in hindsight, I really didn't need to because the lipstick I'm using is black. So I'm just lathering the lipstick on and then redefining my Cupid's bow. To make gestury lips, I am taking my black liquid eyeliner and drawing straight lines outwards, and then connecting them to my upper and bottom lips. Once they're all connected, you can start extending the lines as much as you want, and I made the ends go upward into a slight smile. And you can adjust the thickness however you like. I made one side a little too thick, so I used my Q-tip method to fix the mistake. And that is the end of my clown makeup tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something. I better see you guys post your own clown looks after this.